Pero puedes preguntarle.
Hi, everybody. Or we have two people in right now. We're just waiting, probably 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes for people to kind of come in and I guess get settled in. And then Roman also mentioned that he's going to be maybe 5 to 10 minutes late. So we're just going to just wait a few minutes here.
How are you guys?
Yeah, doing really good. Thank you
Yeah.
for, thank you for taking time of your day. We're recording this if that's okay. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Just you can rewatch.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, just
Yes.
I guess to give some introduction, we're here at the Tledenco Sage Health Center. So we're here with the health center, and I guess for myself as a quick introduction, Trevor Mack. My name is Trevor Mack. Tledenco Tesni. I'm a person from Tledenco, which is one of 6 Tsailkotin communities in the interior BC. And I guess we're here. If you want to do a quick introduction.
My name is Alejandra Valeria. I came from Oaxaca, and now I'm helping to do the manager position in the Tledenco Community Garden, and yeah.
Well, my name is Horacio.
Trevor, can you put a little more volume? I barely hear you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What about now?
I heard you, but Valeria was fading a little bit, and the last person I couldn't hear and almost nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Can you hear better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. So that was just Horacio Tacho, who's working with us at the Tledenco Garden with our team. I think he's met, I don't know if he's met your family there, Roman, but he's met Guadalupe Ushama's family. He's very much connected with a lot of the people that we know and we're connected with, and kind of we've been working together as a team since around April, May on our community garden here. And we're also joined with just to our side here, one of our Tledenco council members, Isidore Harry, is joining us. And we also have a few people actually watching on Zoom with us. And that's just a little introduction of where we are. We've been working since April, but even before April on planting foods for our people and kind of creating a cultural, I guess, a cultural gathering space, a cultural hub for our Tledencotin, our Tsailkotin people, where we have Isidore, our council, his generation, my mom's generation, and my grandmothers, they were all gardening. They were all growing food and had animals, but we've seemed to lose that a bit. And I think in our next generation's process to relearn about this process is we can access knowledge from our community, but in this kind of new generation, we can also share knowledge from other Indigenous communities. And myself and Bali, we're very grateful to have been invited into your communities and your ceremonies, Roman, with your people, and with that reciprocal nature of working with community, we'd like to just be able to share or ask you some questions that other Indigenous community garden members or people might be interested in how we can kind of help one another. And so, yeah, Roman, if you'd like to introduce yourself and I guess a little bit about the work you and your family and community have done.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Roman Vizcarra. I'm from the Quechua Nation here in the Andes, what is called today Peru. We're living in the Sacred Valley. It's really close to the well-known Machu Picchu site. So it's a very high altitude valleys. We are at 10,000 feet. We live here in Taray. We have a community that have been committed to really work for the empowering our own people and our own culture, because as you know, all over this continent we are living under colonial structures, and so we belong to that generation that have a little more opportunities to be able to make it a little difference in these relations with the new world that we need to live. And so we create a program, an educational program. We have a school for the past 23 years, and we also create a cultural center where we really activate again an ancient calendar of activities that actually is based a lot into the agriculture. And at the same time, the agriculture is based on the weather. What's going on above in the cosmos is what they really run our lives traditionally. So when the Spanish arrived here, they put a lot of their saints and virgins and all these Christian images on top of our ancient sacred places. And they replace many of the ancestral ceremonies that we have with all these Catholic beliefs. So our community have been very strongly committed to take all this colonial varnish and getting back to the original purpose of all these celebrations that we have through the year that honor the traditions, especially the agrarian part, but also in general, all the path the ancestors have been left to us. And so they still alive in many parts of the mountains. But like I say, it needed to take all this colonial crust so we can really see in their potential to really organize again our lives in a good way, in a very healthy way, always in balance with the environment, but also with a lot of harmony among all the entities that we live in the ecosystem. So that's what we are doing with a number of different tools. I will use that word, that also in the very practical way, our ceremonies and our celebrations are really the best and efficient ways to maintain this ancient wisdom of our ancestors. So that's what we are doing here in the Valley, and that include recovering a lot of songs, recovering not only the language, but also the techniques, and of course to maintain seeds. There are not GMO seeds in general. No, yeah, I don't know if that's a little resume. Yes.
Yeah, Chenel, yeah, Roman. I think it was huge, an eye-opening experience for me first going down was that just the vast difference in colonial history between, let's say, Nenkaini, Taifkotin, which maybe has been upwards to 180 years, and then going down Central South America, where it's at least 450 years, 500 years, and yet just to see how strong a lot of aspects are of whether that's traditional diet or ceremonies and songs, and it's been amazing just to have that contextualized for me and for other Indigenous Canadians going down south and seeing the huge amount of work that so many people are coming together to do, getting the songs back or the traditional cosmology, and what you guys are doing down there with the school Kusi Kausai, which all Andean Cosmovision school. And I guess at what point then, so you said the school was 30 years ago. I guess how important is that when we're looking at in our situation here, kind of full traditional, or like the education with the kids and the growing food? How does that look when you guys were starting your school, and how important is that education, actual school aspect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually start before doing the school to provide places where the traditionalists and the communities can practice back with a lot of clarity the ceremonies and all what it's concerned to the traditional life, because we have an invasion of fundamentalist sects. We have an invasion of Jehovah's Witnesses, of Adventists, Pentecostals, all like maybe 10 different churches, all from North America, that are coming to convert the people. And this didn't stop, like you say, for 500 years, but it has been intensified in the past 50 years, especially in the most remote areas where people are still very traditional, deep in the rainforest, very high in the mountains. So when we saw that, we needed to have immediately an action about this. And so we create 4 cultural centers in the communities with the purpose of empowering the traditionalist people there. But in the meantime, we were working with the adults. In the meantime, we saw that our kids were trapped by the establishment in the public schools. Public schools are really about domesticating, about training people so they can be happy slaves, obedient workers. And so we were like, well, okay, we need to turn all the input that we're putting here into the kids, into the new generations. And so that's when we start really valuing the fact of education, that we need to take the control of our own school. And so that's how Kusi Kausai, our school, has been born. So it's not only our educational project, what we are management. We kind of articulate as I explained, the first work, that it's activating very clear decolonized calendar of celebrations with the school together. So we don't lose the kids. In the meantime, we have these beautiful moments among all the communities, but then we are sending the kids to the public school. And our project is, it's about being a model. Our mission and our vision, it's talking about being a model, sharing the experience we have with any other indigenous people. So right now we are very proudly, in this moment, we have here 5 people, 2 from the Ashuar Nation in the rainforest of Ecuador, and 3 from the Moseten native nation in the Amazonian part of Bolivia. They heard about us. They look to do the same, to replicate what we have done. And so they have been here for the past, it will be this week, 2 weeks, training some of their teachers. And so we are very happy to to accomplish one of the main parts of our vision. So, of course, we don't want that people copy, like you cannot copy anything because they come from different geographies. But what it really, it's very important that people can emulate, that can take it from our experiences, that we plan the whole school program, the whole school curricula, the whole school agenda of activities, the calendar of activities of the school. It's based on the ancestral calendar of celebrations. Let's say if somebody from the rainforest, they don't have the mountains, they don't do intense agriculture like we do, so we make offerings to the mountains before planting. So, but they have different songs and different timings, let's say for the time that they start fishing in the rainforest. So the elders will gather, will put some offerings to the river, blah, blah, blah. That it should be one of the many calendar activities that will run the school. So that's what we did. And anyone can do that, because we don't need to really create a calendar, because the calendar is already given by nature and by our traditions. You know, when it's dry season, when it's rainy season, you guys have their snow, you have all your seasons for hunting and I don't know, and your tradition. So that's what we are putting as the calendar that guide all the programming in the school. But in the school, it's not only that. I'm not saying just go back to the traditional knowledge, but of course we do math and we do literature and we do anatomy and we do botany and all that. But we weave all these classes into the calendar. So every month the kids will have a song for that time period of time in the tradition. It will be singing also in the school. So that was kind of the importance of us being awake and saying, okay, you know, it's not only about recovering this, but giving actually an answer that was not easy, because we needed to deal with all the regulations of the colonial state of Peru that require permits, and they obligated us to accomplish certain contents in the school and all that. But we learned how to do it. And actually, now we have the whole experience. Anyone can do it, especially if your people have more autonomy than us. That will be even greater, you know, rate. So things like that is what we are involved every day. We're involved now, you know. And as you are inviting me to share whatever experience we have, and that you can take it as much as you need or as you want, and you can adapt it. The same thing it's doing with these people that is right now and here with us from the Amazon. You know? So I think networking is the only way that we can really take strength to confront this aggressive moment that we live in life, all these hundreds of years of being invaded. So we need to be together. I don't think alone we can do it, you know, each nation alone. So, yeah.
I just want to ask you a question, just related to time and space. As we are knowing time and space now, we have this word that is gathering us here, that is permaculture, what we now know as permaculture. And do you know if there's any word that you were using before for something that is putting our knowledge into the invisible and visible part of understanding things? Like, I guess one of the aspects of being growing in this generation is that when we were kids, it wasn't too obvious for us that believing in the invisible part, like the spirit of every single thing, it wasn't something that they teach us in many of our cultures, if we can call it that way. And slowly, as we were growing, we were approaching, because of maybe the instinct inside us was telling us, no, that's not the way, that's not the way. That's why we choose to learn into this new generation word, permaculture, or volunteering here and there, experiencing things that where we can have the approach to learn about how to learn how to trust in the invisible part, like the spiritual part. And I guess, as I'm hearing, that was one of the things that you and the community acknowledge and really said, like, this is our way to weave every single aspect of what you have right now, that is not only the school and the plan for the school, but as well integrating with that other spiritual aspect, ceremonial aspect of integrating the information that you embody now. So it's not a question, I guess it's just yeah.
Yeah, I need to think about a word, because it's hard many times putting practices into concepts. See, sometimes in the Andes, for example, we have been doing this thing for thousands of years, and nothing has been lost with the fact that everyone, even under these colonial structures, we believe, like you guys, there, like all the traditions in this continent, that everything is alive and that everything has a spirit. That's actually one, the most important difference that we have with Christianity, where they believe that only man has a spirit, that God has been given spirit only to men, to humans. For us, that's absolutely different. And it shouldn't be that enough for all of our brothers and sisters to give up following Christianity, because it doesn't fit with us, the fact that we can talk with everything, with a tree, with a mountain, with the ocean, with whatever it is around us. We can talk. We relate with them. So that's something that has been always there, and it has been kind of like a very contradictory element into the colonizers, and at the same time, it is our strength to remind everyone, well, if you are Christian, how come you are talking with the tree? How come you are talking with the stones? How come you're talking with the fish? So from that point, we have been helping the people to really take a position, what we really need. But in terms of transmitting that to the kids, it is in a very practical way. See, it's going up there to the fields before we are planting. For example, when we have cornfields, every time in the harvest, you find a corn that has 2 or 3 ears together, kind of like a little monster, because it's not only one cup, but together 2 or 3. That guy, it's the mating of the cornfield, or it's the spirit of the cornfield. So people will take care, very careful, in a blanket, and it will save them in a very special place in their house. So next year, when we plant, we have been choosing the seeds. We bring all these corn and put it there, stand up there, and everyone will greet them with a corn liquid, or we'll put some coca leaves, whatever elements, a little tobacco to them, greeting, and so they can bless and give the permit to all the other seeds. So the kids are doing, everyone is doing that. And we are doing that because this has been for centuries, so nobody doubt that that's the spirit of the corn. See? So that probably need to give back, like you say, many times in the schools, especially, they are constantly are telling the people a very different version, that nature it's just a resource. It's not a live entity. So people talk about now a resource, not as a mother. So it's carrying the possibility to develop an emotional relation with everything. So that's what we are doing, and I'm pretty sure any elder from your community will be absolutely agree with us, because that's who we are as Native people. If we forget that fact, no matter how much you speak the tongue and how many songs you have, the moment you start thinking in one creator, give it all the power to humans, only to humans, not to the plants and all, then we are not anymore. We are just, a little folkloric Indians, But we are who we are because we acknowledge that the whole ecosystem is a live entity, and it has their personalities, and it has their protocols to approach. Yeah, let me think about that, about a word. I don't know, it might come to me, something like that. But in fact, like a lot of people that do like you are saying, Valeria, about permaculture and all that, that's great. But they need to start jumping from being organic into having this aspect of really talking with nature. And you talk with somebody that you think it's alive, that you feel it's alive. So, yeah, I don't know.
Chanel, yeah, I think it's almost like, as you're saying, it's hard to explain what is just experiencing or being experienced, like almost the feeling of listening to a song, or the feeling of well, now for myself learning, as Tacho knows a lot, Valeria knows much more than me about agriculture, about growing food, and now I'm starting to learn more of this, the little details or the specifics of, okay, this plant, this is the reaction of this plant to this weather, or to this rain, or to this amount of water. And so it's just seeing how that even my mom, my uncles, my grandmothers, they were always saying that, oh yeah, every house in the community had gardens. Like in our community of Tledenco, there were gardens and everywhere, and there were animals everywhere, and so we were going from kind of this semi-nomadic life, following the salmon, the seasons, the animals, the deer, the berry seasons. And so we had that. And then we were learning how to really become experts in agriculture when we were kind of learning about that. And then I think somewhere along that generation and our generation, that's been kind of not lost, but it kind of just went through a hiccup. And so, and I've been learning that, wow, now since that we're kind of stepping into this, and how much of an amazing opportunity it is to bring our youth together, to bring our kids together in these spaces that we're calling our community gardens, that can then turn into cultural centers, and seeing how that I've been able to travel to your community and kind of experience some life-changing events, and not only yours, but in Mexico and other places, and seeing how, I guess seeing the experience that 8,000 plus years of Andean experience with agriculture, how beautiful that is if we can bring our youth together. And is that something that you've been finding with cultural exchanges with your community and the Indigenous in Canada and the States? What have you seen with when the kids are coming together with exchanges?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's as I said just a moment ago, we realized that the youth. We need to work more with the youth, and that's why the school and all that. But in all these years, we have been hosting an international gathering for the past 21 years in our cultural center, and we have been lucky to have people from all over the continent. We have had some Chilcotlins 2 years ago, but we have also from Kwangling First Nation, from Whitehorse. We have people from many nations, actually, from the United States. The latest were Tewa and Hopis. They were this year. But many also around our area, from the rainforest, from the Aymaras people. There's so many different nations. And it was so powerful because in 5 days of the gathering, we can see how much people take in their hearts and their minds just by knowing each other. You know, we learned a lot from these visitors, and the visitors are taking from us. So I think a cultural exchange, even if it's a short visit like that, it is so powerful and so efficient. And I can see the kids that maybe some kids are more urban and they're a little timid about, not sure about what it's going back to their roots and all that things. And once that they see another kids that are doing very nice, proudly play their music and dress and dance, but at the same time, they are absolutely capable to live and to have a talk in a very modern ways. You know, they're normal, like, wow, the next year, they come more strong with all their outfits and all that. So it's just showing ourselves that it's not either way, you know, like, or you are traditional, then you cannot access to the modernity facilities or whatever, convenience. Or if you are in the as a modern person, you need to give up and think that everything is of your traditional backwards, you know. So I think that, and we can talk about that, but it's better when the youth know each other and laugh and feel the songs and being together like that. And of course, listening to some of the conferences that in these 5 days we also provide by the some elders that we invite, or some specific project that, for example, last year we had a wonderful woman that was they're doing lakes here. Now that we have a big problem with water, they're activating and they're creating not reservoirs, but live lakes with the whole protocols and rituals, and beautiful. So we always are looking for a person that it can be an example, it can inspire the youth. And so, but this year we had also the youth from Bolivia. They were in charge of one of the days, the afternoons that they have a conference. So this is getting evolved and better, and I think that's all what I can say with a lot of excitement and a lot of hope. It's that youth should know each other. We all need to know each other, you know, because some people in my territory, they born and die in these little towns thinking they're the last ones. They don't know we're millions. They don't even know that my own nation have 12 millions of people. And they don't know there are Quiches and Piaroas and Mayas and Huichols and Lakotas and Dakotas and Ochihues, and they don't know. So the moment we start looking at us, you know, psychologically too, in your mind, but in your heart, you get this strength immediately by enjoying also these new songs of the people, and realizing that even we don't speak a common language, because the North American natives, they speak with English and with Spanish. You know, sometimes we don't even need the language, because we have the same ways. And just really to see it, how we are, because all our people are very generous, very affectionate. We hug each other, we laugh a lot. So it is pretty nice. So that has been one of the best regards that as an organizer we receive, to really see the youth getting empowered, and they're kind of vaccinate against the establishment. Once that we have that, okay, now you can go in the establishment, because I know they will return. They have been taste the beauty, the purity, the beautiful things that our ancestors have been living with all of us, all in our nations. So I don't know if that answered, but I will say that's the highlight of the work. It's with the youth, and it's these encounters.
I guess this is a great opportunity as well for speaking about myself, how lucky and how grateful I am for being in contact with you and for travel to Peru and meet you, your family, your community. Because for many years, and I want to say this out loud because I know there's a lot of people like me who we were wanting to approach to a different life, and we were doing everything for it. We were investing our time in learning music, maybe in singing in other parts, in just as having these normal aspirations of our first our first draft of what a life can be. And it was until I met Trevor that I realized that I was maybe having another chance for reinterpretate what I was doing, because he was coming from the film industry, I was coming from the music and performance, and life wasn't having a real sense. There was something missing. I was doing agriculture, I was doing social work, I was doing everything that seems to be right, but there was something that was still not fulfilled, and there wasn't. I was feeling sometimes like a little emptiness in that spot, until I came in contact with the knowledge that you are kind of sharing with us, and seeing how it really works. And for so many years have been strengthened the everything, the knowledge, the practice, everything, that it really works down south there in your community with your family. It really inspired me to say it was the missing piece. It was what it gave me, because my parents, they still are in their way, and I felt that I was belonging to a network, because my heart already was feeling all that I was seeing. So it was just finding the things that my heart was feeling and making more sense, because now I don't work for myself thinking that's the way. Now I understand I am a part of a big community that is netting with many, many people like me. So I feel part of that network. I feel that I'm working for something that has more meaning, and I feel a little more with strength. I guess that's the message we are trying to share in here, because this nation, Talcoting Nation, and other nations around in this territory in Canada, they are very proud of carrying that knowledge in their hearts too. But it seems like it's been lost because of the example has been maybe not lost, but have other impacts. And now this is what I guess I really want to say thank you to you, because I see in Trevor's life as well how much is making a difference, and how much we are working now here, putting a lot of our heart to grow that seeds in the consciousness first, and with the activities and all that.
Yeah, and now we actually have seeds that we'd like to as well also ask, I see that we have 8 people also on the call, and if any of these 8 people who are watching want to ask a question to Roman or to ourselves about the projects that we have, feel free. And just to get into the specifics of what Vale was talking about, we have corn, maize de Peru, growing, and so it was kind of just this. We planted in ceremony where we had this beautiful seed sowing ceremony where we had you know, a little girl, Neil Z, bringing up water from the creek as our cousins and our friends and family were singing as this little girl was bringing the water up to the garden. And then we smudged the 4 corners of our garden with an elder leading us around our garden. And then from there we must have had about 20 people, I guess. We had about 20 people as we gave them the seeds to put into the garden rows, and also potato seeds. And so we're you know, we're kind of learning this process as well. And so we'd like to ask you, Romana, in that process, I guess, ceremonially and also with the specifics of tending to plants, if you have anything to share with us, just with in our situation where we have yeah, I guess our beans must be maybe 2 to 3 feet long now. Our corn, our maize is maybe 4 or 5 feet. But I guess in that process, what are some things maybe that we should keep in mind?
Well, it is a little. I need to know the terrain. You have how it is there, because we make, when the potatoes have like maybe 15 centimeters, or I mean the corn, we pile dirt on the stem. We pile it kind of like so, and we do that when the corn is like a meter more pile, because here is windy and we want to support them. And then we left. And the only thing is, we don't need even, by the time we are piling the dirt, also it's kind of like weeding too. You know, we do also with the potatoes that kind of like piling and weeding at the same time. But with potatoes only one time, and with the corn twice. But like I say, it's a little different because I don't know how will we react that. I don't know your winter it's coming. I think this time you need to experiment a little bit how the seeds reacting from here. That's I will do if I bring from another part. Yeah. But all the ceremonies that we do in terms of planting, it's before planting. For example, right now in August, from the 1st of August, all the whole month, it's for the offerings. And if you have been offering to your field, then you can plant. So planting time will come next week, all the way to end of September. You know, but we always do offering first. So, but through the old thing, no, then nothing else. For some particular purpose, you can enter in and doing that, especially if we will sprout the corn for making the corn beer or something like that. We can do a special smashing in the field and things like that. But normally that's it. It's just in the beginning. Then it's about taking care only, like irrigating under time, or if it's with the rain, just weeding, because when it rain a lot, it weed a lot. So we need to weed all the time.
Yeah.
We like to hear the other people that you say maybe they have another questions you mentioned.
Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to just put it in the chat.
Or just
or even if you're here in the call too, we can and if you're on video, you can put you on video, and then you can come in for a call for some questions. Yeah, we have, I guess, one question, Roman. I know music is huge in the Andean culture, and I guess we were beginning this year. It was a big intention, as Vale said, to be able to relearn and to embody our songs and our offerings and our culture to the agriculture process, instead of just kind of putting the seeds in and kind of seeing it as like this mechanical process, but singing the songs with the vibrations and communicating with the invisible world. And I guess how important is that with music and growing the food and music and education? I guess how heavily is music focused on?
Yeah, yes, it is so important. For example, we have some songs that are in some flutes that are only be played for making rain. So we believe the vibration of these flutes will really help to bring the rain. And also in that time of the year, only women sing. We don't sing. So, but you know what? That's for us. I can tell you all these kind of like stories, but I think I don't know how relevant can be, because you need to find that with your own people, because your people need to they know for sure which ones are the principal mountains or what part of the forest, and they will know what to sing. You know, I think that should be a conversation with your elders, but that's all what I can say, because we know the territory here and the weather is different, so we need to sing for rain at certain time, because sometimes rain will go the other valley and not come in this valley as much as we can. So we need to attract them and all that. So there's always through songs, always the songs are offering to that, you know, to sometimes it's for gratitude, but many times it's to induce them to flirtate with the weather. For example, whenever you want to make the hail is coming and you have your plants small, so then they associate that hail here with this mountain and the hail that they come from the other mountain, and one of the mountains is male and the other one is female. So if the hail it's coming into the female, so then they send little kids like in their 11, 13 years old with a lot of offerings to that female one. And then the opposite, see, and need to be very young kids that are offering the flowers and putting the offerings, because they will always listening to the kids, see. So, and then they will go farther and not come on top of your small plants. So, but all these protocols, you need to know the ecosystem around. I'm pretty sure that your elders have that knowledge. If it's not exactly for agriculture, they might know too, because I understand your people is more like into hunting and fishing, you know. So, but it's something they need to deal and connect with the spirits of your principal places, you know. So I don't know. I can keep telling you about my thing, but that works here, you know. So every part is like people. Everyone has their personalities, and every place have also their preferences, what they like as an offering or as a song, if they like with the drum, if they like just women sing. All the things have been already said by them, who knows, from the beginning of time, probably, you know. So that's why you need to, even if you bring a seed from here, from the south, ask your elders what if we are here, which one is the mountain or what, you know, something like that. And then you can orient it to that. Yeah.
Yeah, the importance of continuing almost that. I remember you telling me like it's pretty well full on needing to learn every aspect from our elders because they're continuing, they're crossing over, and whether it's dealing with whatever aspect in the culture, but we're in a state, our generation, of the language of the teachings that we need to fully commit to preserving it. And this is Isidore, did you have a question as well? We have Isidore, our council member representative from Tledinco. He's got a question here.
Yes, please.
Sir,
Hi.
I do have a question. I've been on council here probably over 30 years over here. And, we just started to recognize climate change from 2017, our fires over here. With our elders evacuating, our kids evacuating. But us as a community, we stayed behind. We did not evacuate. We wanted to save our community because it takes forever for government to rebuild a new home, sort of thing. But climate change, that was the big one. It creates gaps nowadays. The very reason that we started getting back into garden with Trevor and Valerie, to fill in those gaps. As we speak today, as a result of climate change, excuse me, that our salmon, we don't have no salmon running now. And then we have to look at different avenues again to fill in those gaps.
Yeah.
You mentioned the calendars, whatnot. We do have all those at our school anyways. But to the children, the kids, I believe leadership needs more attention to the kids to teach them a lot more about our gardens, whatnot. So, climate change is a big thing. Every country, climate change is totally different. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we are actually the second part in the planet more affected by the global warming. Our glaciers have been melted. Already we have been losing almost 40% of the glaciers in the past 15 years. That's like really, really alarming us. And we are confronting droughts in some areas and floods in other ones. But a lot of the springs are getting dry because we depend on the glaciers. Because our mountains are close to the equator, we don't have the snow that you have on the poles, like in Canada or South Chile, in snow in the cities. But what we have is very tall mountains. It's 6,000 meters high, where only at that altitude they can have the very cold wind and maintain as glaciers. So we are losing these glaciers, and I think New Zealand is the first one more affected, and the Andes are the mountains more affected in the planet. So yes, like you say, it's terrible, and many times even our agrar calendar are not quite exact like they used to be, because the rainy time extended sometimes 2 months more, and sometimes ruin our corn when we are drying, or sometimes retire. So what we are doing, it's keep following, looking the stars, that we see the constellations moving in a different way too, or the clouds and certain stars kind of announce us that it will be a time for holding the planting time and getting a little late, because this year the rain will come late and it will remain longer. So, but also the animals are teaching us that, like even fish in the lakes will put their eggs deeper in the water or sometimes very close to the edge. So when we see them, we know it will be a good rain and soon, because then it will be covered. So there's all these signs that people start looking. But one of the things that we have, it's we really don't complain. You know, I see in the Western society a lot that people say, "Oh, I hate rain. Oh, I hate the weather." Or, you know, we never use that word, "I hate." We just embrace and dance with whatever it is, even if it's hard. Because yes, we have some years that were terrible. 2-3 months that the people did plant, and there was a very intense heat and drought that even killed a little of the plants. Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's not like in another times. We know that, but the only thing we can do is just keep accepting what is there and keep observing. So we always observe the plants that are coming, the butterflies that are around, the birds that are making this nest a little farther, even the foxes coming close or going farther, or seeing these animals that we never see in these kind of trees that have been going there. So all these strange things we need to observe and able to understand this new era. But animals are teaching us a lot, like you know. So, and so that's all what we need to do. You know, nobody knows anymore. We don't have the control. For thousands of years, we have been really managing the land, how to plant and all that. And suddenly, these are complete unexpected changes. So, yes, it is a problem for us too.
Yeah, that's a good point about seeing like the weather as it is and not saying it's a tragic or bad thing or hating it. We just actually had a huge landslide, Roman, that completely blocked our river, fully blocked our salmon river. And this was in the last 2 weeks, and a huge landslide, and the entire flow of the river completely stopped. And so it dammed up the river, and the river started creating a lake in the canyon. And for about a week and a half, it was national news that a lot of us all along the river were just we were waiting for this dam to burst. And I saw that there were two kind of messages or feelings people were feeling, that it was a tragic and bad thing. And people were also saying that this is a change and we're going to adapt to it. Something new is going to be created. This has been happening for thousands of years, that landslides will block the river. In fact, the place that it happened was called Naguantlat, which means where the land falls, where the sand falls. So historically, that place had landslides. And it just so happened that this year we had huge northern lights. I guess we would say, it would be called Yata Nagurik, and I think something like that in our language. The like fire dancing in the sky. And we had pink for the first time in a long time. We had green a lot, but this year, huge amount of pink. And I remember Badley too talking about just how beautiful that pink is, and how that's a good sign for the salmon, because the salmon turn pink and red as they come up, and just going, wow, yeah, those are all signs that it's going to be okay. It's going to persist. And then just in the last week, the whole dam burst from this huge landslide dam, and the water is all flowing down. It's just reached Vancouver in this huge burst of water. And just as you're saying, observing these signs is important, because in the end we know that it is going to be okay, but it's still good to be aware of what's happening, and it's still good to see what's happening, but also changing our behaviors for the positives and to adapt.
And one of the things that Trevor was telling me 2 years ago, that they were trying to, like, Trevor inherited a song, a traditional song that his great grandma, she was singing for the salmon. So in Peru, even everybody was calling him Salmon Boy, Salmon Boy. And now, now when we came back, we were talking with other friends and cousins in here to do a ceremony for salmon, because that was lost. So everybody was talking and talking, but no, really, that wasn't really happening. And then the slide came, and since the slide came, there's been 4 ceremonies beside the river for the salmon. So they were out loud saying, like, this was a real message of Mother Nature. Mother Nature is talking. She wants us to do this. She wants us to practice our tradition, our ceremonies, because everybody came back in the memory to say, like, how did we practice that ceremony before? And everybody was putting so much effort and praying so much and singing so much and discovering that the language, even people who speak the language, there was an elder, Angie Stump, she's from the Women Council in the nation. She was praying in Talcotin, and she couldn't find a word of something that was blocking the river. So she was almost crying, because her language gave her information at that time that she wasn't where you can see how she was transforming. Maybe it was something good for her too, for her own understanding or her own process. So it is beautiful how Mother Nature is so smart and giving us chances. And we just have a question here that we'd like to ask if Florian wants to talk about it, or if we just read it, if it's okay if we read it.
Yeah, Florian said
We can ask Florian, you want to read it out loud? You want to talk about this? You can come out of mute. So Florian is managing a big project down in Chiapas. He has a big land full of water, but he's the caretaker of this area, and around that area is just a lot happening. So he's all of mute.
Yeah, so Florian, you have the ability to turn on your mic if you'd like to.
Yeah, he's on now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for all the heaven guys and girls and ladies. Yeah, we're just commenting about this problem of the glaciers melting that you were exposing, dear friend Roman. And yeah, it was a kind of a resume of different topics we talk about. The school managed by the youth over there, because it's a project that some people gather the kids that are failing in the system to learn about, like, kind of a natural school, you know, like managing the school, the resources, etc. And they came out with this project called Ice Stupa, where they made glaciers out of sprouting water, out of tubes, taking water from the river high, and then down lower. They are spreading water in the air, and it's making big glaciers. So in the summer, they have a storage of water that are not usually there. So they are rebuilding those glaciers to try to have storage of water for later. So it was just like between many thoughts I had during your your talk. So thank you so much. And I was wondering at the same time if you work also with in term of agriculture, which is the main topic for today, if I'm right, is the food forest systems. So as you manage in the south, like more in the Amazon, which is still really present. In Mexico, we used to have that. It's still present in different parts, but we know that the people going to the cities to live, managing the forest for this kind of lifestyle, because it's more than just agriculture, but more like a lifestyle where we live in the forest and we live out of the forest. And we are living in harmony. I think you were talking about that a bit earlier, but I was wondering about that, because in the late years we were talking more about agroecology, and then now we are going back to those systems with usually called in the system agroforestal, syntropic agroforestal systems, which is the traditional techniques managed, as I was saying before.
So Florian, so just for the other people in here that cannot read your first commentary, like they didn't read what you put before. So what is all this about that you are talking? Can you?
Oh, so I was saying, yeah, go on, Trevor.
Oh yeah, Florian, you were mentioning about the SECMO school in India and how they were essentially recreating glaciers from spraying the water from the river, probably onto, I guess, different shaded mountains. And you were mentioning your question is more about syntropic farming, agroforestry.
Yes.
Can you repeat your question? And I guess specifically, what would you like to ask Roman?
Like Vareo was talking about in permaculture, now we start to see those management of agriculture is we going back, and from different places like France or here, I see the agroforestal system, especially the syntropic shared by Ernst Goss in Brazil, which is the father of this new movement, but coming from indigenous also knowledge, of course. And my question is like, do you guys in your project consider the forest system as the goal? Like what I mean is like we can do garden beds, for example, but you can also do garden beds, reintegrating, regenerating forests wherever it is. Of course, depending on the states of the land where you work.
Yeah. First of all, we have already here a very, very ancient way of rotation with different crops. In this altitude, we don't have many forests. Peru, it can be, unfortunately, when the Spanish arrived, they exterminate most of the native forests. So they introduced eucalyptus as a source of wood for whatever construction or fire or things like that. So forest is not anymore a place where we do agriculture. We don't have many forests, and we plant in open areas that are in the mountains. Actually, we use a lot of terraces that we create to avoid erosion and avoid to wash of the nutrients in the rain. So pretty much there are little patches in the mountains that we kind of flooded little pieces, or using also the cliff that the mountain have if it's not too much. So we don't irrigate much in the traditional way. We just are seasonal with the rain. So the soil, it is pretty rich because most of the traditional communities, but see, I need to make a difference here. There is agriculture in the valley where people are not in touch too much with their traditions, and they are engaged into more the industrial way, monocultivos. But in the traditional way in the mountains, people really have a lot of knowledge how to rotate, and every family has maybe 8 or 10 different patches of land that they cultivate only 1 or 2 for 5 years, and then they let them rest for another 5 or 6 years, and so they rotate, and the soil regenerate by themselves just by resting. But also people use just manure of guinea pigs or alpacas or llamas. So the soil is pretty healthy in the mountains. And there is also a knowledge about how to rotate the cultivation. So, for example, if you put potatoes 1 year, the next year you put faba beans, because faba beans will inject into the earth a lot of nitrogen. So, and then after faba beans, you will put corn, or you will put lupin, and so on. There is a knowledge, and actually it's very balanced how we cultivate. So we are not considering to introduce new ways in these traditional areas because it's very ancient, very ancient. So, and they, like in the communities, it is already set for thousands of years. Then nobody abused the land. In fact, the management very well. The problem it's when people in the lower valley, it have been really inherit, let's say, from the big haciendas of the feudal time that until 1964 they were management by the Spanish families that controlled this country. They have big plantations, big land in the flat areas where they plant just with commercial purposes. So that people, it's not in our radar. We are trying to make an input, and so they can see what we are really talking about, going back to the roots, because they're not following that. That's the part of the population that actually is a big percent in the among native people that are very colonized. So that they start using now artificial fertilizers and things like that, not natural. But in the mountains, where we work very close with the very traditional people from the mountains, and that's what we teach in the school, it's about respecting and, of course, being more smart and make rotation cultivation, and also this knowledge about what crops put in, what will be the sequence for doing that. So we are not doing exactly permaculture or something like that in terms. Yes, we do probably in a very small scale when we are cultivating lettuce and things like that, small gardens. But in terms of the ancient agriculture, it is very old here. So people already know what to do there in the fields in the traditional way. I don't know if that answered a little bit or my comment.
Yes, thank you. Totally. Of course, I didn't consider that your climate, I mean, you're around 3,000 meters high, maybe, or something, or even more.
We are, I'm talking about 11, 12,000. No, I'm talking 2,900 to 3,400 meters of altitude.
Okay. Yeah, so of course we have to consider that, and up north you are in something a bit lower than that, around 1 to 2,000 maybe. I don't know exactly where you are, Trevor, but yeah, so you are in same climate, like cold climate, Here we are in a tropical climate, so of course I was considering that. Yeah, I mean, if it works since thousands of years and you have the traditional techniques, and you were saying it's not really permaculture, but well, permaculture is a sustainable way to live, and you do better because you do that since thousands of years. So permaculture, it's only 50 to 70 years old. So, and trying to recover indigenous knowledge. So for sure you do, but from tradition. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Chenelia, thank you, Florian. We have another question from Jackson. So regarding, are you considering food security strategies in case our traditional foods become less available than they once were? So Roman, I guess there are terms in food security, food sovereignty. Here we're looking at, we saw with COVID, where the grocery stores, things were closed down. We just had our landslide that could potentially stop our salmon. There are forest fires. So not only, I guess, is this, it's beautiful to see culture coming back and exchanges happen, but there is this, kind of below a real serious kind of life-giving, life and death kind of case where we need food to survive, and we can't just rely on the grocery stores that we're used to. And so we're a lot of our elders, one of the biggest feedbacks we have in our community garden center that we're continuing to work on is, a root cellar, we need food storage. And so that is one aspect of, I guess, food security, food sovereignty that's happening within one aspect of it. But I guess, how do you see food security or food sovereignty, these terms that are used, what does that mean in context to how you guys, the Andean culture are growing food, but then also, I guess, from your perspective, looking into our situation in Canada as Indigenous peoples, what that perspective is, just from your point of view, and how we're dealing with food security, food sovereignty.
You know what? I really would like to give an opinion, but I will need to know a little more about your environment. If you still hunting, if you do jerky, if you preserve your like we do with the salmon, all that kind of things. But I can tell from us, and we have a very, very ancient technique, for example, to dehydrate potato, to the point that we squeeze all the water, and 90 or 100 kilos of potato turn into 20. And you can preserve that for hundreds of years. No mice will eat nothing because they turn like a cork. So you storage, and then you can take them a night before, you soak in water, and they hydrate again. And so you can eat it. Things like that, we have been doing that for thousands of years, and actually have been help people to the ancient people, our ancestors, to develop, because they overcome strenuous or stress times. They have been all over. The same thing with jerky. So they have been preserved that things, So I'm pretty sure you people also have that, but I don't know much about how big is your land and how you're thinking, but definitely it will be important to go back or to learn in terms of like the potatoes, for example, to do some kind of things like that, just in case if one day you don't have refrigerators, but you don't need that because there's cold there. I don't know. That's why so different the geographies, that you might not need a refrigerator like somebody in the rainforest need, but they smoke, and because the meat get rotten fast and the products too. So I think that should be first. I will know to know what is around you and all that. I really don't know to give an opinion on that.
Yeah,
but sober. Yeah, but I feel it is absolutely important to get back and rely and build and have sovereignty on our food. What we put in our body should be a matter of our nations. Nobody should bring things from outside and who knows, full of chemicals and for whatever. So that could be even something politically that they need to take by the authorities and say we will need to eat healthy food from our sources, or we will trade with some neighbors or whatever, but have the control on that. It's very sad to see diabetes, for example, going all over and there's no regulations. At least in our territories, we should have the strength to say we will control the amount of sugar that the families have. We need to, it needs to be from the hard way and the educated way, the nice and friendly way of approaching and getting rid of the ignorance of these new things, the new points that they're given to us, to the other extremes to make it rules, strict rules. It's prohibited here inside our territory. And so if we have that control of the food, we will have very healthy population soon. We don't need to wait too much. As soon as we change the diet.
Mm-hmm. Chanel, we do still have a lot of dried meat. Louis Tangen, we have Tangen, dried meat from dry deer, dry salmon, dry moose meat, dry elk. And actually I didn't know about that either, about the dried potatoes, but I guess that's chuño. Chuño is because our people love potatoes. In fact, we planted probably nearly 1,400 potatoes in our garden because it previously was a huge potato field. And we actually have wild potatoes in our mountains. Sundi, I think it's called, right? Sundi. And so we do have this like culture of potatoes in Tlaixcotin anyway. And that's really good to know about the dry potatoes because we're planning on having a potato harvest festival here as well. And, bringing musicians and creating these spaces. And so just another potential aspect of, hey, maybe bridging our cultures that way in a potato harvest festival.
Yes, that will be great if we can. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Malachi and Fabiana Martinez.
So we have Fabi and Malachi with their hands up. Potentially, I feel Roman may have to go pretty soon. But if Fabi or Malachi, I don't know if you have any questions, or I don't know what the hands up means, but we have
question.
If
Fabiana, can you come out of mute?
Hi. Well, it's actually Jamon. He wants to say something.
Yeah.
Do you?
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like on that food preservation, there is lots of the way we make dry meat, but that potatoes would be cool because we do it. We have so much potatoes and berries up in the mountains that nobody even collects anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all that food too out there. That not getting used.
That's right, Jamin. There's lots of potential, and I guess bringing our people out onto the land is a big importance of knowing where the potatoes are at, knowing where the berries are at.
Yeah. I tried my best to go up there with Chindi this year too, but it never worked out.
Oh, I see.
I wanted to go up there and get some potatoes from the mountains.
Yeah, that's
I did in March though, around Kamloops.
cool. Channel, yeah. Jamin, this is Roman. Jamin is one of the youth that we brought to Mexico to experience ceremonies with the Huichol, with the Aulam, the Tapajuane. So Jamin, who's 14 years old now, has experienced some agricultural indigenous ceremony down south. And I think we have Malachi. Did you have a question too, Malachi?
Is that it? Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, no. I did have a question, but that was for Roman, and it was how they go about their food sovereignty there and the food security when it comes time to harvest, and how is that distributed to the people, kind of in that sense.
So I guess if your question was about how the distribution system is set up within community.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
no,
I think
not really. It was just about the food sovereignty, and what his interpretation of that was. But he kind of already explained that also.
yeah.
Yeah, it was good to. I'm glad I came in, listened in. It was a lot of good information shared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, so many things were crossing my mind as I was hearing this awesome discussion, and just how he was telling you about our nations, and how we the how the geological different standpoints of the geography that we're in within our nations, it changes. Like, one thing that I always tell the people is how it's different. We go from the plateau, and now here at sea level. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
No.
Okay. Oh,
Thank you,
sorry, my
Malachi.
sister. And I would wanted to add because here in my territory, we would plant the medicines, and no matter where we went, our people, we'd travel in zigzags. We all, like the chuspas, like the bags that we carry on our. We all used to have seeds in there, and every time we would go explore different places within our territories, they would plant the seeds. So no matter where we go on Turtle Island, we'll find the medicines and the bit of food that we need while we're out there on those lands. And so that's how things rotated, and our ancestors, they knew the calendars, like in my nation here, like how Ramon's saying how they follow their traditional calendar of how they process their food and when to plant and when to do this. This is something us as this next generation, we got to learn these things, and it's a really hard thing because we are losing so much of that knowledge, and it's even before our lifetimes and within our lifetimes. So then we got to go out and seek and bring people in, and not try to take that whole load on by ourselves, and know that it's okay to search for that help and find that help, and be willingly to open to it. Because within our Chilcote nations and our Nukok nation, one story that my grandmother told me, I don't know the full details, but we used to have Hooligan grease here. So our new year begins in March and April, when the Hooligans come up, and we'd make the grease, take that grease, and then you guys have that Potato Mountain, and it's about a week walk from that one point to you guys, and you guys would bring them in baskets, and we would bring the grease in baskets, and then that's how a form of trade was kind of created. And then, so how do we get back to those old teachings? And then, and really listening to our Mother Earth, because we're all affected, all our indigenous nations, and we're the natural born caretakers of it all. So, and how does that look like us governing our lands, because we've had those rights taken away from us? And how do we go about practicing these rights and uplifting each other and learning from each other in different areas? Because we've all faced similar things and all going through similar things, and there's different knowledges and different places that will be able to help one another.
Yeah, yeah. Janelle, yeah, Malachi, that's right. We have our local neighbors reopening the trails, reopening the trading routes is super important as well. With Dasico, Dasico is a tribal park that I'm helping coordinate. We're also looking at creating like a trail opening team to go and reopen up in the mountains the windfallen trails. And I think so many people across the years have been talking about the grease trails, and we need to be going back from like the glaciers to the sea, to the sea, to the interior. And I think it's going to be happening. I feel we're going to have to be the stepping up, and I think and embodying that, and I guess I think it's going to have to be our generation to kind of just do it with the experience and the knowledge of our ancestors.
So we are coming to the closing. If you, Roman, want to add any other commentary or any other thing?
No, thank you very much, Trevor and Valeria, for organizing this this meeting, this gathering that we are doing right now. I really wish we can follow with this weaving, and you could bring people here too, and that we can also bring our people there. Just with Chuño, we could go and teach there, but you can also come and bring, just like I say at some point in the conversation, it is so important for all of us to get together. So I want to just encourage anyone that you know there around there. I give every good intention that I have, from not only from me but from all our community, to make it happen, that we can fulfill this dream of putting together the kids, the young people. So any door you need to talk, I hope it will be open for you among your people too, because many times these decisions are only into the politic realm, because I know there's many times there are budgets for that, because behind all these good intentions, we need to be realistic. We need some budgets. And so for your kids, it will be so important to see, for example, some of the traditional communities participating there into the fields, turning the earth and all that with ancient tools. And also for us, it will be so great to know your ways too. So that's my hope, that you guys can accomplish everything. And I congratulate you guys for taking the courage, because that's how things beginning, with just the input of a few ones, and then we get with the example, we can show what we want to do it. And a lot of people actually have the same dreams, only some people don't find sometimes the strength to do it. And so thank you for both of you for doing that. Thank you very much to everyone too in the conversation.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Gracias.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Okay. See you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Adiós.
No,
Sachanaya.
Sachanaya.